Well, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to a show. This is going to be a fast one because I'm a little bit tired. I did put out a bunch of videos today on my YouTube channel, and I tried to make sure I shared them out to social media, the other channels, so make sure you check it out. We're trying something new with YouTube, okay? I don't know if you've noticed, but I'm trying to promote more of the YouTube videos to see if we could build that up a little bit. And I know what you're saying. Everyone said, oh, you should go take your show to the other platforms. And while I agree with you, unfortunately, the other platforms don't get the reach that YouTube does. And the goal of doing this isn't because of making money or anything like that. The goal of doing this is trying to get people to pay attention to what's happening in our country. And if I have to use YouTube, as much as we hate it, if I have to use YouTube, I will, in order so more people can hear what I have to say, because that is the reason why I do this. The title of this video is just shooting the shit, because that's essentially what we're going to do today. We're just going to answer some questions, talk about some stuff, because I did already put out videos about Ohio and hazmat and trains. And I know a lot of people are, to me, it's a good thing that people are finally paying attention about these hazmat accidents that happen, the train derailments and the truck accidents that, of trucks that are carrying hazmat stuff. Because it's a conversation that many in the industry have been trying to have for a very long time. You know what I mean? But everyone is like, it's funny because everyone is kind of pretending. They're like, oh, look, a chemical explosion in Houston or a chemical explosion in Tulsa, because that's the one that's going on today. Whereas normally they would just share a video and be done with it. But they're, everyone is kind of going around and acting like it's a much, much bigger deal because of everything that happened in Ohio. I would argue that it's always been a big deal, and it's always had lasting consequences for health, and it's always been something that people have been advocating for, But then again, like I said in my video earlier today, the only way you're going to actually make the railroad safer or the highways safer is through increased regulations. Unfortunately, that's the only way that they're going to get safer. And if you are like me, you don't want increased regulations. Because, well, my belief is when you have increased regulations, you have increased corruption, and in order to get around those regulations. So it's kind of interesting, right? Because I see someone said planes, trains, and automobiles were discussed by the truth or conspiracy theory folks months after all. Maybe not conspiracy. See, the problem is do you guys know how many train derailments there are in the United States every year? Because the number is staggering. Let me tell you, it's staggering. 1,000. The United States averages over 1,000 train derailments per year. We cover a lot of them that involve semis, because a lot of the time it's a semi that gets stuck on the railroad tracks and gets hit by a train and it derails one of the cars or two of the cars or three or four or five. Train derailments happen all the time. They happen all the time. It's not what makes them stick out is when you have, major explosions. What makes them stick out is when, the content, that the train is carrying is lost. Keep in mind, these trains are miles and miles long. So the amount of cargo that gets on those, it's beneficial to the supply chain to run trains, because that's what actually keeps the cost of goods sold. Would you guys know what percentage of hazmat freight that travels on railroads actually delivers without any, spillage, leaks, or damage whatsoever? 99.99%. That means 0.01% of all hazmat that travels on trains, it has some sort of spillage, has some sort of explosion, has something like that, which makes it much safer than trucks. Because of the, I was just looking at deadly, to try to get the numbers of deadly trucking accidents. There's well over 1,000 deadly trucking accidents every single year, about 200 of which contain hazmat. That means that someone dies, either truck driver. And for example, the one in Texas yesterday where the truck was hit and there was a train derailment, or Houston a couple of days ago where there was hazmat that was on the train. That was the same thing. That truck would have been one of those 1,000 that happened, because that truck, the driver died. The train ended up derailing because it hit the truck and dragged it, a quarter mile down the track or something like that. But the problem is, the reason why this one's getting so much media attention is because the after effects of the train derailment are so large. You know what I mean? Because of the health hazards that are connected to it. And there's a lot of misinformation. Like I just saw one video comes out and they said they were in Williamsburg, Ohio, Williamsport, Ohio, and they were boiling water and there was obviously something fishy going on, no pun intended, with the water, right? Because it was making all these weird little bubbles and coating it with white and all that stuff. But then when you actually read the comments and you see that, and as someone that's like, oh my gosh, this accident was so bad, you see that, you see Ohio, you assume they're connected, right? And that's what the original poster was trying to do, until you start reading all the comments. And I know a lot of people don't do it, but once you start, yeah, I mean, just like Dan Rodriguez said, a truck driver, he said there's hazmat spillage on trucks without any accidents whatsoever. I know. Anybody that's ever hauled freight knows this. You know, you have damage on trucks, you have damage on, especially in hazmat. You know, I never carried hazmat. Dan, do you need hazmat certs because you're transporting vehicles? Do you, I've never, I guess it's under, right? Under a certain, because it's not bulk. Like, because the cars, they have gas in it. Do you have to have hazmat certs because you're doing a 9-car or 10-car? That's what I'm curious about with you, Dan. I meant to email you that because I was curious about that too. Because if you include, car carriers in that, then that's going to be crazy. But Jem said you ordered a Patriot as F hoodie and free mug today. I was broke, but federal tax and after bills, you got my hubby the birthday gift. Yeah, I know. I sent out your t-shirts already. Your box will go out tomorrow. Because I did get your email. I don't think I replied, but you should have saw the email saying that you have a t-shirt order that was free, and that's why it was free. But anyway, Dan said, no, you don't need hazmat. Yeah, I was curious about that. But I mean, for anybody to make the argument that these hazmat incidents are rare, you don't know. You don't understand it. You don't understand the industry. And I think the negative publicity around this Ohio hazmat thing is great, because it's going to draw attention to, an issue, but it's going to be bad for truckers, and it's going to be bad for rail workers and rail unions and all that stuff as well. Frankly, I don't care about the rail unions. I care more about the workers, even though they're union, and most unions don't actually look out for the benefit of their workers. But in all reality, these things a lot of them are preventable, right? Everyone could argue, like, people are trying to blame Trump for this, of course, for the train derailment, saying that he rolled back some braking mechanism bill or something that was supposed to go into effect from the Obama era. It was supposed to go into effect during the Trump administration, and Trump vetoed it or blocked it by EO. I'm not quite sure about that. I haven't looked into it enough to do anything. But really, if you want to look at who's culpable, they always say the buck stops here when the incident occurs. Whoever's in charge and in command at that point. And you could go back and say, well, maybe the faulty brakes could have been found by one of the workers, but the workers were on record as 2 months ago saying that they are overworked and underpaid and they're not working enough. They don't have enough time off. That's what they were striking for. Remember that big rail union shutdown that's going to cost everybody? We're not going to be able to get anything. It's going to cause supply chain chaos that everybody was talking about. The rail workers, they were striking, or their unions were preparing to strike, because they felt like it was unsafe. What they're doing every day is unsafe. What they were told to do every day was unsafe. And they were on record as saying that, but nobody listened. Biden didn't listen. Pete Buttigieg didn't listen. He was on vacation. Nobody actually listened, and then they force these union workers to go back to work, and they said this was inevitable. The union workers themselves said this was inevitable, that it was going to happen. A lot of people are trying to say it's like, I don't know, man, like some weird conspiracy. And I don't think it's a conspiracy, right? I don't think, well, I know for a fact that the Ohio hazmat incident, the Houston hazmat incident, the other ones, the one yesterday in Tucson, Arizona, where the Landstar truck flipped on its side, I know those are just accidents. They happen all the time. And they happen because truck drivers are being forced to get as many miles as they can under the hours of service that they're regulated by the government, right? So how do you further regulate it? Because you've already regulated the shit out of the industry, right? You can try to make trucks safer, but it's not going to do anything because they're already pretty safe for the most part. So what do? You further restrict drivers? What if that driver and I'm not saying the driver from yesterday in Texas that he was fatigued or anything, or in Arizona, but what if he was? What if he was fatigued? What if he was, really had to piss really bad, but he couldn't stop because he only had a certain amount of hours of service left. Even though he's good and he was, ready to drive for more hours, he's only allowed to drive a certain amount of hours because the U.S. government determines how much time someone else can safely drive. It's the most absurd thing when you really think about it. It truly is one of the most absurd things. The way that they regulate these truck drivers and the way that they regulate even the rail workers and all that stuff. And it's not necessarily the government that's regulating the rail. It's more of, Norfolk Southern and some of the other big railways that are putting these strict requirements on their workers, to inspect a car. You can't do an inspection on a car in 90 seconds. One of these rail cars. I don't even know how long a rail car is, but I think it's like twice as long as a semi, right? I don't know, maybe. But it's definitely longer than a semi, maybe not twice as long, because I've seen them where we used to send our trailers on the back of rails on the UPS fast train to California. And it was like one trailer and then they'd stack them all up and all that stuff. But it's absolutely nutty that everyone is trying to say it's a conspiracy theory. And this is weird too, because the governor of Ohio is now saying all the local residents should drink bottled water, even though the Ohio, EPA and the Norfolk Southern are saying that the water is safe in Ohio, which, the dead fish and all that stuff and the plume that's going down the Ohio River right now would say otherwise. But now the governor of Ohio is saying that if he was in that community, he would be drinking water, while single-handedly praising Biden's response for this and saying he doesn't need additional support. He was on the news earlier. I just saw this video right before I started going live that the Governor DeWine, I think it is, he went on a news station and they said, what would it take for you to ask for more help from the Biden administration? And he's like, well, the Biden administration is doing perfect. The federal authorities that we have on the ground are doing a great job and we don't need any additional resources, which doesn't make any sense. If you got pets, and all unconfirmed, but people saying pets are dying. News is going around broadcasting that chickens are dying in backyards and fish are washing up and frogs are dying and foxes are dying and all these animals are dying because of the chemicals that spewed out because of this fire and that stupid incendiary, controlled incendiary burn that basically, just like the environmentalists said, nuked it. Like what? It's absolutely crazy. But I guess the one thing I wanted to say is that it is very common. It's much more common than all of you know, but maybe now people will pay attention to it. Likely they won't, but maybe they will. I did see someone else just put about a helicopter crash in Route 53 in Alabama. This is a weird one too. I do have a story up of that one because shout out to Tim. He just tweeted it at me on Twitter. But a crash Friday afternoon in Madison County that killed all of the people on board. They don't know how many people, and they don't know if it was a military or civilian helicopter either. But the helicopter was completely burned up. And that's Burwell Road and Highway 53. That happened just after 3:01 p.m. So there's no other information available right now for that. That's at least the most current information I have now. But Timothy on Facebook said, hell nah, don't drink that water or bathe in it either. Yeah, I wouldn't. I wouldn't either. But I think from your water departments, you can also get free water testing. I don't know how it works with that. Is it going to test for vinyl chloride and, all the other stuff? I don't know. Dan Rodriguez said, how do they not know whether it's a civilian or military aircraft? I don't know. It's quite peculiar. What is it now? I made a video earlier today where just a YouTube Shorts thing where I was talking about, I just got out of the gym, guys, so I'm super fidgety. So if you see me doing this, it's because I'm fidgety and I need to sit on my hands or something. But that's what happens when you go to the gym and you do a deadlift day. You get fidgety. Someone said, what about well water? I wouldn't drink well water. I wouldn't drink any water there, but I wouldn't drink any water. What was I going to say? Someone said, lucky Trump deregulated a lot of this environmental stuff so that train companies can focus on making money. Yeah, you don't know what Trump deregulated or not, Patriot Operator. What you're doing is you're reading all the leftist commentary, and I'm starting to think you're more leftist, which is getting really annoying in the chat because you're not really making any arguments. Like if you want to back it with actual facts and details like that, I have no problem. Send me an email and we'll try to go through it. But when you just put that stuff in there without backing it at all, it pisses me off, and I know it pisses the viewers off. We're not going to ban you, but I'm just saying, like, if you want to say something, say something. You know what I mean? Don't just say Trump, rolled back all these environmental things which helped the trucking, railways make more money. Back it up with facts. You know what I mean? That's all I have to say about that. Someone said Google 2017 laws. I got links. I don't give a fuck. I'm telling you to send me an email if you have something to say. Otherwise, or don't put links in the chat. Cite the actual laws. And April can live fact check you. And if we find out you're spreading bullshit, then we'll just say goodbye. Because you've been doing it for quite some time in the chat, and it's annoying to people. It's annoying to me because I see it, and I'm just like, why is he in here? What is that? Say it to me now. That song from Once, the musical. Yeah, I just showed my inner dork by referencing that video. I like that one. I talked a little bit about the balloon thing. The newest thing to come out of these spy balloons is that they no longer believe they're going to be able to recover any of the wreckage for the one that was shot down off the coast of Alaska, the one that was shot down in central Yukon in Canada, and the one that was shot down in Michigan or Lake Huron. They no longer think they're going to be able to actually find that they're going to find the wreckage for it. And then, who was it? Floyd, Admiral, whatever his name is. I forgot what his name is now. But the Pentagon spokesperson, he came out and said that they are pretty sure that these have nothing to do with espionage, let alone, they're not Chinese spy balloons, let alone have anything to do with espionage. They just think they're like business balloons that floated away, which doesn't make any damn sense, right? It doesn't make any damn sense. Which leads you to believe, one, and there's no photos of these. There's no photos. There's no anything. So it leads me to believe, at least, that this whole thing was a big psyop to take our attention away from something else. Do I think it was to take attention away from the Ohio thing? No, I think they would have done that themselves. I don't know what it's to take attention away. Maybe what's going on in Russia, between Russia and Ukraine. I have no idea. But it's everything that's going on right now is so freaking fishy. Like, I just saw something that's going viral on Twitter where someone's putting a book, and it's like an It's Okay to Be Gay book, and they're like, I found this in a Florida library. And then they just cite the book, but they don't actually say what they found, or they show the pictures of the book, but there's nothing that actually says that this book was in a school. And I think a lot of people do that all the time. They go to like Barnes & Noble or Borders is closed. So Barnes & Noble buy like a contentious book and then said they found it in a Florida school. You know what I mean? And I'm sure people do that just to stir up shit. Just like people that take videos and say, videos of dead fish from like 4 years ago, and then post those up and say this is currently what's happening in East Palestine, Ohio. That shit pisses me off. But it is what it is. Someone said it's always Trump's fault. If it's such a problem, why didn't Biden roll it back? Yeah, I mean, here's the thing: is everyone? I don't know. There's a lot of mention about a specific thing that Donald Trump did back when he took office through executive order, repealing something that Obama did that had to do with train safety, specifically train braking systems. I don't know about it. I haven't had time to look into it because I've been working all day and dealing with the coffee shop and all that stuff. So I haven't been able to dig deep into it to know what it was. With the environmental arguments that Patriot Operator was trying to make and all that stuff, I get it. Okay, everybody's rolled back policies, and it didn't make sense when they were rolling it back. Donald Trump rolled back Obama policies. Joe Biden rolled back Donald Trump policies. The next president, whoever it is going to roll back Biden policies. That's just the way it goes, because then they think that it gives them a clear starting ground. You know what I mean? I don't know what policies he broke, and that's why I was telling Patriot Operator in the chat, if you want to list them, then fine, list them. Don't put links, because we don't want to direct people away from this. But I would prefer that you do, or send me an email, or send April a message. Jump in our Discord. Maybe I'll start, paying attention more to the Discord. And if people have, actual facts and things that Donald Trump did that would have, affected this. But I don't know how rolling back environmental laws could have prevented what was happening here. Because again, knowing that 99.99% of all hazmat deliveries on rail deliver without any problems whatsoever, you would have to question any expensive policy if it's really worth it. But then again, you look at what's happening in Ohio and you could say, well, anything is worth it. So I don't know. It's weird. I think a lot of people right now are just looking for answers as to why all this stuff is happening. And the easiest thing to say is it's all by design. And you see it, you see people say it a lot. Like when bad stuff is happening, everyone just says, oh, it's all by design. It's all happening for a reason. It must be a conspiracy theory. You know, and you know, the balloons, the F-22 shooting down all these balloons, you know, something is weird with that. I don't care who you are, you know, or what you believe, but they don't have any photos of these damn balloons. They don't have any wreckage from these balloons. And to be honest, I don't even know if anyone saw any of the missiles being fired either. We haven't heard anybody that said, oh, we saw the missile, you know, take off and miss, you know, said balloon that we couldn't see anyway. You know what I mean? And typically you'd have that. The one that there's plenty of video of was the Chinese spy balloon that was shot down. You saw that missile being fired. You saw the explosion from when it hit it, and you saw the balloon fall down. You're telling me they can get that wreckage, but they can't find the wreckage of whatever it is, because they're saying they weren't balloons, but now they're saying they were balloons, or they can't explain how they were flying, but then they're flying with the wind. And then finally, today it came out that they had nothing to do with espionage whatsoever. Leads me to either believe, one, it never happened at all, and it's some big distraction from something bigger, which would be way bigger than what's happening in Ohio and all that. Or secondly, they do have the wreckage and they just don't want the general public to know what it is. So they're saying they're not going to be able to recover it, which wouldn't surprise me either, because the government isn't exactly honest with the American people. So either way, I don't know what the answer to that is. Another video I did talked about the 3 mass shootings across the United States tomorrow, or that happened yesterday, well, within the past 24 hours, that mainstream media is going to ignore. Everyone talked about the mass shooting at Michigan State University, but mainstream media shuts up pretty quick, you know, about mass shootings if it doesn't fit that, you know, checklist of coverage that we've talked about. And so I went through the 3 mass shootings that transpired yesterday across America. There was one in Buffalo, I believe, one in, I don't remember where the other 2 were, but there were 3 mass shootings that took place yesterday. One involving all children outside of like a charter school, I guess, in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Well, they did just issue an arrest warrant for the shooter. And you know, 3 15-year-olds and a 17-year-old were shot. They're all expected to survive, I believe, in front of that school right as it was getting out in Pittsburgh yesterday. And they did issue an arrest warrant for a 14-year-old. A 14-year-old. And anyone that wants to make the argument said the parents shouldn't be held responsible for the actions of their kid, here's an example where they should. I'm a firm believer that you should discipline your child. You should be forced to parent your kid. And I know it's a hard thing to say, and it's a hard thing to grasp, especially the single parents that are, you know, up against the wall raising a troubled kid and all that stuff. I get it. But I think forcing parents to parent, even if they're bad parents, is going to cause it, because then they'll be worried about the repercussions of their kid effing up and screwing up whatever crap they have going on. And that's the thing. Someone said, what is a mass shooting? A mass shooting is 4 or more people that are shot. That is the definition we go by here. So when we say mass shooting, it's 4 or more people being shot. Doesn't matter where, doesn't matter how it occurred, doesn't matter whether it was gang related, doesn't matter whether it was at a nightclub, doesn't matter whether it was black on black or all the victims were minorities. All of which I just said, every single thing that I just listed that we consider a mass shooting, mainstream media doesn't. Why? Because they're racist as fuck. And I'll be honest with you, that is the truth. Mainstream media doesn't cover mass shootings in Atlanta, Georgia because they're racist. Mainstream media doesn't cover the mass shootings in Pittsburgh at the school because they're racist. Mainstream media doesn't cover the mass shooting that occurred yesterday in Buffalo, New York, because they're racist. They don't want you to know that gun violence is rampant throughout America. Sure, Fox News tries to do it. They'll get the most, like, you know, cliche picture of it all. What the fuck? There's a big ass fly in here. You know, the biggest picture at all, and then they'll cover that, right? And they'll cover like a bad shooting in Philly, or they'll cover someone getting pushed into a subway station in New York City, or they'll cover something. But they don't cover all of these things, or they do, but they just don't spend enough time. And I mean, can you blame them? They're trying to push their agenda, their military conflicts, you know, fear mongering about this war with Russia, you know, with Fox News saying that, you know, Ukraine, just like I talked about it last night. I'm not going to regurgitate all that same stuff. It's all crap. It's all crap. I see 2 of you may be checking out in the store. That makes me happy. I'm glad you did that. And I have a surprise for all of you guys. If you are watching on YouTube, when this video ends, I want you to leave a comment, any comment, doesn't even matter, because one of you, I will pick one of the comments tomorrow night. So if you're watching this on replay, you still can do it. I will pick one of the comments tomorrow night, and you will receive 2 free bags of coffee of your choosing, free shipping and everything. Just random YouTube comment. So if you're watching on one of the other platforms, you may want to go find this one on YouTube. So that way, actually, I'll make it easy for you. And you might as well subscribe there, because I think I may do this almost daily or something. I don't know.
What are you talking about here?
What the shit? What in the hell? Why did it show an old video? That's weird. What the shit? But I will put this link. See, I just got a kick out of it because I heard myself saying, what the shit? But yeah, when this video is over, so you might as well subscribe, because I may just do the coffee giveaways every day. Because I'm tired of YouTube censoring me. I'm gonna fight it, and you guys commenting on it, any comment whatsoever, you know, will increase the engagement, which you know, which I hope will allow more people to see real news. That's what I want to do. So, but yeah, that's gonna be it for this show. I said it was gonna be super quick. Normally Wednesdays I try to take the day off. But me doing a show right now means I don't have to go home and do the dishes. No, I'm just kidding. Wouldn't that be bad if that was the truth? It is. No, my wife isn't feeling good, so I want to go home and you know, deal with the kids so she can go to bed. She's got a headache, you know, and which doesn't surprise me. We've all been sick for a long time, and now she's got a headache, and she was really snotty. So I want to go home and deal with my kids so she could just go to bed. She had a rough day at school too. These fucking middle schoolers, oh my goodness. I was like, I need to be a teacher so I could slap shit out of some of these kids. You know, I told my son, I'm like, you find out any of these kids are being mean to your mom, you have my permission to beat the bricks off of them right in school. I don't care. I'll ground you while you're suspended, but then I'll buy you a new PlayStation game or something after, you know, because no one's gonna talk bad to my wife. But yeah, if you guys want to support this channel, go to Pure Truth Coffee after, okay? Go to Pure Truth Coffee. Actually, is this the link? Right? No, it doesn't do it. This one? Nope. This one? Nope. Nope. But go to puretruthcoffee.com and buy some. Buy a bag of coffee, whatever. That supports this show. Also, make sure you go to this link after this video is done, which is in like 30 seconds, and type a comment. I will pick one person tomorrow night during the show, and that person, and I'm just going to literally just look at all the comments and scroll and pick one. And that person will win 2 free bags of coffee. Tomorrow it may be a t-shirt, whatever. It depends what I want. But I'm going to do it to boost the engagement on that platform for now. And then maybe one day I'll do it for Rumble and back and forth like that. Rumble's a little bit harder for people to figure out how to use. But anyway, I'm going to go home. Please, guys, go to the store, buy a bag of coffee, buy a t-shirt. I did get 160 pounds of coffee delivered today. So tomorrow morning, I'm going to try to put out videos on YouTube, but I will most likely be packaging coffee for the rest of my life. So that way I can get all the coffee orders out. Most of you guys will get coffee shipping notifications tomorrow. All of the Patriotic as F bundles that were ordered previous to yesterday, so before yesterday, you'll all get shipping notices. You'll get 2 emails. One, it'll say a new order's been created, and those are your t-shirts or your hoodie, whatever you ordered. That's a whole separate shipment. And then the other one will be one saying that your Patriotic as F bundle will be shipped. So, and you guys will all get those notifications tomorrow. So I appreciate everyone that is watching. I appreciate all you guys. Make sure you go over to YouTube, leave a comment. Someone's getting free coffee tomorrow. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye. Oh, wait, go watch the hearing. There's a big Border Patrol hearing tonight at 6 o'clock. I'll probably be watching it from home. You could probably find it on YouTube. There's and I say big Border Patrol hearing. It's just going to be the GOP border bad, you know, same stuff that they always do, but they never pass any actual laws that'll fix it. You know what I mean? All right, guys, we'll see you tomorrow.